Hey there, Neely Salem here with another spiritual thought about Shabbat. Over the course of the next 3 videos, I'm going to be explaining the foundations of all of the rules, all of the laws on Shabbat, which confuse people a lot. So the next 3 videos will definitely be longer than 1 minute, but please God, they'll be helpful in helping you understand where all these laws come from that once seemed so random. So let's start like this. In no fewer than 12 places in the Torah, it talks about the work that's forbidden on Shabbat. The OG, the original source, is in Parshat Vayakel. That's one of the Parshas, where Moshe, because of God, tells the Jewish people that on 6 days they should do labor, but the 7th day is holy to God. So, okay, we get it. 6 days you work, 7th day you don't work. But the thing is like this. The sages then make an inference because there's another subject that comes right after this command. And so they say, these are juxtaposed. So what's the next topic? It's the topic of the Mishkan, which was the desert sanctuary. That'll be the next video. And it talks about all of the labors they did in the Mishkan. So the sages say, okay, well, if they did these in the Mishkan, and right before it talks about not working, they must be connected. Okay, so now we have to look at what the labors were in the Mishkan. And again, if you don't know that word, hold tight, watch the next video, it will explain it all. So there are 39 general categories of work that are forbidden on Shabbat because they were done in the Mishkan. Now, most people think in the modern day work means like don't go to the law office, don't use modern electricity and, driving, like all these things, because they're like, I don't know, that's work. And then people get so confused, but about like what is work and what isn't work. So here's the clarification. I'm actually going to read for you the 6 categories of work and the subcategories from which they derive what we should and shouldn't do if we're down for Shabbos. Okay, so in the Mishkan, in the desert sanctuary, they did do field work. This is one of the 6 categories. And within field work, they sowed, they plowed, they reaped, they gathered and bound, they threshed, they winnowed, they selected, they grinded. So no grinding, you know what, on Shabbos. They sifted, they kneaded, and they baked. In other words, these were the kind of work they did there, so we don't do them on Shabbat because of that inferred juxtaposition in Parshat Vayakel. Second category, they made material curtains for the Mishkan. So they sheared wool, they cleaned, they combed, they dyed, they spun, they stretched the threads, they made loops. Pardonnez-moi. They weaved threads, they separated the threads, they tied knots. This is why you don't tie permanent knots on Shabbat. They untied knots, they sewed, and there was tearing. Oh, tearing. Interesting. Okay, category 3 was making the leather curtains. And there, they trapped, they slaughtered, they skinned, they tanned, smoothed, used ruling lines, and they cut. And this is why we don't do those things. 4th category was making the beams of the Mishkan, of this desert sanctuary. And for that, they used writing and erasing. Now you know why we don't write on Shabbat. The 5th category is taking up and putting it down so we don't build or demolish. And finally, the Mishkan's final touches was the 6th category. And for this, they were not allowed to extinguish a fire, kindle a fire, strike the final hammer blow, or carry. Many of you have heard about carrying on Shabbat. So those are the 6 categories of the work that was done for the Mishkan, this desert sanctuary. And therefore, those are the 39 subcategories of the things that we don't do on Shabbat today. Now, for the next video, I'm going to explain to you what was this desert Mishkan, and for the one after that, we're going to explain, so what do they actually have to do with each other? It's really profound. Stay tuned, and thanks for learning already the intro to what is up with the rules on Shabbat. I'm just going to show you this beautiful place where I'm at real quick before we end. Ta-da!